All right, Jeff, I'm going to take you off the air. We'll see you in a couple minutes here. Okay? And he goes. He's got a nice, modest office over there. Mm-hmm. He needs more awards and decorations on the wall.
Yeah.
He looks like a man that has a whole bunch. He just doesn't want to show them.
He's got him hit.
Yeah, he's got to hit him up underneath the desk.
They're inside the cabinet.
I guarantee you he's got his home office. He's got all the placards and like the golden awards, the records and the platinum records all on his wall. He's got one room just for that. He looks like that kind of guy.
Right.
Not like us. I got a dead chicken leg behind you over there.
Yeah, a dead chicken leg. I got a gold plated record that I put gold paint and glitter on.
Why do you do that?
Well, I wanted to have a gold plated record.
Oh, okay. We've only been doing this for 3 years, Mike.
But that doesn't mean I'll ever figure it out.
That's why I put the big red foamy thing on yours.
Oh, okay.
Where is it at? Okay, here we go.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, the award-winning #1 podcast to create son of horses from the ground up. Mike Stine is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF 1 accreditation. On this week's show, editor from the American Farriers Journal, Jeff Cota, will be joining us. He'll be talking about the importance of continuing farrier education, why horse owners need to care about continuing their education with horses, and also horse owner roles with hoof care. All this and much more will be discussed here on Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. And over to my far right side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
Doing all right. You ready for Christmas?
Yeah, we'll say yes.
Okay, that's a good start, I guess.
I was ready the same time last year, too.
I have great news for you, Mike.
Good.
And this is for all our listeners out there as well. Now, you know, we broadcast on iHeartRadio. We broadcast on Spotify, Apple Music. We're on 20-some-odd different platforms throughout the whole entire world, if not the United States as well. We also have a YouTube channel. Now, we do have a YouTube channel basically saying that, you know, everything that we have here in the studio, you can see me waving a mic, Mike waving a me. He brings in x-rays. He's got videos and stuff. And when we have special guests here in the studio, like Jeff Cota, that's going to be joining us here in a few minutes, you can see this all in real time, all unedited. You can see all the mess ups, all the hiccups and all that stuff. The audio portion, we kind of fine tune a little bit. But back to the video portion.
It's raw, uncut, all the stupidity, the whole bit.
You Mike throwing coffee at me and stuff.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. We've been doing this show for almost 3 years now.
Right.
Believe it or not, we have just now, which is a struggle for someone like us, this chapter.
Everything's a struggle for us.
We've just hit over 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but I'll tell you what. In comparison to anyone out there who's tried to start a YouTube channel or try to do something for any length of time, they just basically throw in the towel. We have just surpass 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and the videos are showing it. And if you go to our videos and watch all the different videos and stuff, everyone's getting 1,500 views, 2,000 views and stuff like that. So people are getting it, people are liking it, people are joining it, and you can too. Go over to YouTube right now, search Equine Dynamics Mike Stine, and give him a little subscribe over there. You can see all the fantastic stuff that goes on here at the show.
They're just looking to catch us in something.
I know. They're using it later on when one of us runs for president or vice president or something like that.
They'll have the dirt.
Now, speaking of Christmas, Mike, and are you ready for Christmas? And you said, I don't know. Well,
yes.
Well, I am.
You are.
Because I've got this for you. You ready?
Okay.
Another gift for Mike.
Another gift.
This is a Christmas edition. This one turned out all right. I'm not too impressed with it. I should have paid attention a little bit more when the proofs came through. But if you're watching this on the YouTube video, this is why we get the 1,000 subscribers on our way to 2,000.
It's because Travis does these things. Nice.
If you're looking at it, that is... What is it, Mike?
That is the Equine Dynamics Christmas edition shirt for the podcast.
So there you go.
Wow.
You got two there.
Want me to go put it on?
No, I don't want to see your bare chest in the studio, Mike.
Okay.
But there you go. So you got a couple shirts there now to wear for the holiday season. So hopefully, and have you been handing out the stickers and stuff?
I've handed out stickers.
Now you can get yours too, and the way you get that is go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says contact us if you got a question for Mike Stine. do that and then send him your physical email, or not a physical email address, your actual physical address, and we'll send you out one of these new Christmas stickers as well. And you can also join the podcast. It's there as well, and I'll dive into that here in just one sec. So stick around. We got a lot to talk about. We have Jeff Cota coming up here in just one sec. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. There he is.
He hasn't left yet.
No, he's stuck with us.
Now we know something's wrong with him.
Yeah. Can you center yourself just a little bit more, Jeff? There you go. Thank you. I know I'm so demanding. So demanding.
Which center?
Up, down, center. Left, right, center. Oh, sorry. So, yeah, I had these shirts made. I don't know if you get to see it, Jeff.
Yeah.
So I designed them, but I didn't look at the proof because the microphone has a little bit of green behind it. Yeah, if you would have never known, I would have never told you. But there's a little goof there in the back, but they turned out all right. That's what I've been doing for Mike.
It took him
in my spare time.
3 years, and I finally got a Christmas T-shirt.
Well, you got a Halloween one and now a Christmas one. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Make sure you go over to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says join the podcast, and I fixed the page, Mike, by the way. And what that means when you say join the podcast, at the top of the page says be heard, leave a message for Mike Stine. Your voice can physically be here in the show with us. Your voice can be carried right through these airwaves, right through the YouTube channel. And if you want to ask Mike Stine a question, go over there. Click on that, opens up our microphone on your device. You can be anonymous if you want, and just send it right to us, and we'll play it on the very next podcast. We broadcast every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at a little town called Marshville, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And joining us, and over to my far right side, my very own small little town is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
Doing well. And joining us this week is the editor for the American Farriers Journal, Jeff Cota. How are you? And thanks for joining us.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Now, what made you become? What was the road to get to being the editor of a American Farrier Journal? Are you an editor by profession? I say profession, or are you a farrier by profession? And you just happen to fall into the editor section.
I started as a journalist. Yes.
Okay. And so this is your. I'm assuming that farriers and the equine world is your passion, where you've kind of melded the two together. You're just like, oh, no, I just got a job. This pays the bills. I'm really a championship pickleball tournament player.
No, horses have always been a big interest for me, and it's just sort of serendipitous that it happened this way.
Now, how long have you been working for the journal?
It'll be 11 years in January.
Woo, man, Mike.
Yeah, I really, honestly, Jeff, you'd been there for everything, so I thought you were there longer than that, really.
Now, when you hear editor, and we were had a brief little discussion before the show. I'm kind of like the audio editor for this show, and I say editor. I cut and move and pull things out that I don't want you to hear, or fix things that you heard but you didn't hear correctly. When I hear editor at a newspaper, I'm thinking like the movies. He's the one that goes stop the presses. He's that guy that does that. What is the actual job description of what you do for the magazine? I mean, are you writing the articles? Are you creating the content for the articles, or they just hand you the articles and you're just like, oh no, I don't like that word there, or I got to put it in Chat GPT and have it do all the work for me?
It's a little bit of everything. We create the content. We grammatically check things, rewrite. We also talk with different freelance writers to procure that content, and we talk with farriers. We go all around the country, been to many conferences with Mike over the years, and so that's we just create content that way, and yeah.
Now, where are you based out of? Where's the headquarters for the American Farriers Journal? Right
outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, all the way up there, and so that's where you're at right now.
Yes, sir.
Where's your parka, your hoodie? You got anything? It's got to be cold up there this time of year.
Yeah, it's a little. It's been a little chilly. It's a little warmer today, though.
Well, very good. Now, some of the articles, like you were talking about ideas and stuff, one of the things that we stress here on Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine is always talking about continuing education. And, to be a farrier, you can go to school, you can learn how to drive a nail, like Mike always says. You could look at how a horse does this and a horse does that. Let me show you something that Mike brought in. This book right here is the actual test
For the IPF1.
for the IPF1 accreditation that Mike is. Now, he says, you want to be a farrier, Travis? He threw this book on the table, and I go, no, I think I'll go to culinary school. It looks it looks easier than doing this. So, as far as continuing education, Jeff, what is the importance of that in your perspective, being an editor for a magazine?
Well, it's everything, really. Sorry, I stayed real quick.
It's okay.
The obvious is improved skills. Farriers get under a lot of horses every day, every week. And so improving their skills is very important. It's far more complicated than they make it appear, and so they need to improve their skills, but it's not only improving their skills, it's improving the skills of the people that are around them.
The way I kind of look at it is you got a mechanic, right? Anyone can change oil. Anyone can rotate tires. But there are guys out there that know the ins and outs of the actual vehicle that you bring them, whether it's an older model, like I got a 92 Nissan D21 out there for my farm truck. I'm not going to bring it to the Nissan dealership because there's nothing but a bunch of kids there. You bring it to that one salty guy not that I'm calling Mike salty, but I mean, that's the level of farriers as well. You got a guy that can change oil, and then you got a guy who knows the actual
salty.
Yeah, that's the salty guy that out there that knows the ins and outs and probably built these things on the assembly line.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are. They're essentially the mechanics of the hoof care trade, but it's pretty complicated. Like I said, they make it look very easy, and you're trying to balance the horse. You're trying to make sure that you don't have any issues, whether it's up the limb. It's not just the foot. It's all the way up the limb and into the other parts of the anatomy of the horse. So it's an important role, and I think that a lot of times we don't give farriers their just due, and how complicated and how much knowledge they have to bring to make sure that your horse is sound.
Now, through your magazine, I know this podcast here, through the IAPF, if the farriers out there actually listen to the show, because we are qualified, we're education, continuing education, they get credits, or what did you call them, ECs or something?
CEs,
yeah.
We call it ECs.
Okay. Education continuing or continuing education, tomato, right?
Right.
With your magazine, is there any kind of like articles or questionnaires or anything like that helps people that are just getting started, as far as outside of the articles themselves? I know which you create great articles and great content, as far as like the education through the magazine itself.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have the magazine. Of course, we also have the website, AmericanFarriers.com. We have a YouTube channel, much like Mike does.
Probably got a little bit more than
exactly
1,000 that we have, but still.
Not exactly like mine, but it's a real YouTube channel.
And then we also, every year, we stage the world's largest hoof care conference in the world.
And where's that located at?
Well, this year it's going to be in Kansas City, Missouri. And
mark your calendar, Mike.
It's also accompanied by the world's largest hoof care trade show. So it's a really cool event. Mike's been there several times. He's actually presented at the summit.
Oh wow! Well, there you go.
Yeah, and so we have about 1,000 attendees every year. We have some of the world's best farriers, equine veterinarians, and other hoof care professionals presenting their lectures and information.
Now, I always ask this to anyone that comes on the show, outside of the obvious, is Jeff, do you own horses?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I wish you did.
Well, my wife, we have 3 horses here. We have what we call the $1 million horse, and then we got 2 lawn ornaments. So, but my wife is all,
and they were $1 million horses.
Yeah. So, they were $1 million horses. We had to retire them. So when we come back, I'm going to talk about why the horse owner themselves need to continue learning with their farriers, as far as keeping the horse, continuing their education as a team together. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. I don't know if I talk too fast or I just put a whole bunch of ideas in one sentence. So I apologize if I do that.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Mike's used to it. He catches every third word and he's like, uh-huh.
That's all I need,
Uh-huh. Hey, are you doing the horses today after?
Yes.
Okay.
I was told I was.
Yes.
Life, many years of being a farrier, stepped out of the truck wrong.
Well, yeah, like what you're saying, Jeff, being up underneath the horses, you need to have care and understanding.
Yeah. Well, it's not an easy job, that's for sure.
Do you watch Yellowstone at all, Jeff?
I haven't this year, so don't spoil it for me. But I do watch it, yes.
Damn it, I got a top. I don't know who it is. I just know that someone ends up getting behind a horse. That's all I know. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Jeff, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget to follow him over on YouTube and continue that growth of over 1,000 subscribers. The way you do that is search Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine over on YouTube. Make sure you give him a subscribe over there. And joining us this week, and over to my far hand side, my very own subscription is Mike. I'm sorry, Mike. Over to my far out. Don't cry on me, Argentina. Over to my far hand side is my very own subscription is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you, and how are you, Jeff?
Good. How about you, sir?
I'm very good.
And joining us this week, editor of the American Farriers Journal, Jeff Cota. Thank you for joining us. So, you ever watch Yellowstone, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's a scene on this year's episode, so if you don't want to hear it, just plug your ears, where a guy gets, he's standing behind one of the horses. I don't know the characters, I just heard this in like a group of friends talking, and a horse, whatever reason, popped him in the chest, did that whole donkey kick or horse kick, and the guy died. And so he was an owner of a horse. Now, you always told, don't stand behind a horse, yada, yada, yada. But that's the basics that everyone knows. Even a horse owner. A lot of horse owners don't know the basics as far as feet. Now, when we say continuing education, it's not just the farrier. You're relying on the farrier to go out there and continue the education. You're also relying on yourself as being a professional horse owner or just a responsible horse owner. So in your opinion, being that you don't have horses or anything, what are some of the things that that the magazine has done to show the intertwine between horse owner and farrier as far as continuing that teamwork of education?
We published a few articles and a few e-guides that are free on our website where you can figure out what it is that, or we inform you about what it is that the farriers want you to know. So there are a lot of things, and Mike, I'm sure, can add to this conversation.
Yeah, there's so many misconceptions floating around out there as to what and how.
Absolutely. And it probably starts with regularly picking out feet. I go on ride-alongs with farriers quite a bit, and I can't tell you how many times the farriers called out and they said something's just off with the horse. The farrier will go over and pick up the foot, and there's this big rock wedged between the two branches of the shoe, and it would have saved that particular horse owner a little bit of time and money had they just picked up the foot and
taken a look
themselves. Yeah,
sometimes you got to take care of the obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just benefits you, your pocketbook, but it also benefits the horse, so just listening to what your farrier is asking, I know, life gets in the way sometimes, but if your horse is dealing with thrush and the farrier is asking you to clean it out a little bit and apply a little medication, take the time to do it, because it'll only help you. It'll help the horse, and it'll save you time and money. And if your horse is competing at all, make sure that the horse is back at the show.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, and that's so much more than just putting thrush medicine on a foot. Because when we come into barns and work on horses, if that horse is very accustomed to having his legs handled, he's quiet and easy about it, your farrier can do a much better job than if you're chasing him around the barn because he's not used to having his feet touched.
So
That tickles.
Yeah.
And I know my wife goes out there all the time, and she's constantly picking. She's constantly doing something. She'll even spot stuff. One of the horses that we have, Dominique, she noticed that she was walking just a little bit slower in the front. So she took that information and she went out there and, felt the feet to see if they were hot. She's like, well, they're a little warm. And transferring that information. So knowing what to look for and transferring that information to Mike. And then Mike came out and he had his little, what the hoof testers or something?
Red hoof testers, very lightly.
Mm-hmm. And we found out, what did we end up finding out about that?
I've slept since then. That's what I found out.
Yeah, I know.
No, I don't know. I mean, she was just a shade tender-footed, but didn't seem to have anything. I don't remember at that point if we had gone to the point. I don't think we went to the point of we need to get the vet in here shooting x-rays or anything yet.
But I guess, what Jeff's saying is, learning this information and being able to transfer that kind of to your farrier or to someone that knows, everyone, I guess an owner has to be several different jack of all trades as far as, being not a vet, but know what to look for, the symptoms, being a farrier, knowing what to look for. And that communication, like Mike always says, that communication between the two need to be there.
Well, my competitive horses, I'm getting information from their trainer directly. The vet's involved, the body worker's involved, I'm involved. I've heard of the body worker's found something quirky that's popped up. Can I relate that to a movement pattern that I need to address? And it all ties in.
Yeah. And the grooms play a big role in that as well. A lot of the barns that I go to with farriers, one of the first people they talk with is the groom, because
right.
The groom will tell you that, that the horse the other day came out of the stall a little weird. You might want to take a look at it.
Right.
Now, when you say groom, see, I'm the simpleton of the show. My wife does all that. She knows all that stuff. I just learn it from what I've learned here on the show and what I've learned just talking to my wife. When you say groom, I'm thinking of just the person that brushes the horse down. Is that not what a groom is? What is an actual groom? What is his title and what does he do?
Yeah, the groom kind of handles the things that are going on in the barn. They might they'll bring the horse out, turn him out. They'll often clean out the stalls. They're busy all day, and sometimes they turn it out for the trainer. They do brush. There are a lot of things that the groom does. This general care of the horse.
They brush. They do leg wraps, and I'll tell you, some of the best leg wrapping jobs I've ever seen in my life came from racetrack grooms.
And we were talking about thrush earlier. A lot of times they're the ones who are
They're the ones that are treating it day to day. Yeah, and they have a lot to do with that animal's behavior.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick little break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the horse owner, continuing the conversation of the horse owner's role in hoof care and why it's so important to get this communication down. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Jeff, you doing all right? As he takes a big sip of his morning vodka water bottle.
I went by the local store and I heard the stories around the coffee pot this morning.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did.
Was that your $6 coffee?
Yes. No, this was not $6 coffee. They gave it to me. But somebody's cows got out down the road last night, I found out.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Small town world, Mike. Small town world. He's got to sell $1 somewhere.
Yeah.
If he ain't got nothing to edit, he ain't got nothing to do.
That's right.
All right.
So we pay you a lot just to make coffee.
Yeah. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. If you have a question for Mike Stine, the way you get those questions in is go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page it says contacts. A little form right there. Fill that out. Make sure you put a physical address, and we'll send you out some of the magnets, some keychains, and some of our new Christmas gear that we have. And over to my far inside is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
Doing all right. And joining us this week, editor of the American Farriers Journal, is Jeff Cota. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we were talking about the importance of the communication between the horse owner. What was that? Was that you, Joe? I thought I won something. Did I win? We were talking about the importance of the horse owner and communication with the farriers. And we were also diving in during the break there as far as how important the Farriers Journal is to have or to read. Now, this isn't just like one of those you sit on the throne and read it for a little bit. I mean, you can, but this is a magazine that gives you so much information. So tell us when they got started, how long you've been doing it, and distribution and all the good things that make your journal a necessity for everyone's in their foot locker.
Yeah. Well, Mike might sit on the throne while he's reading. I don't know, but
a little bit. I just go for the pictures.
Yeah. It's the journal was started by Henry Heemering back in 1975. So this year we're getting ready to celebrate our 50th anniversary. It's distributed around the country. But we also have subscribers from around the world. We have people from Japan, all over Europe. We have quite a few subscribers in the Middle East as well. It's a magazine where we try to do the best we can with educating farriers and equine hoof care professionals. We'll have everything from general how-to biomechanics and shoeing and trimming protocols and tool maintenance. There's a pretty wide berth of stuff. We also do a career guide for new farriers. So those get distributed to all the 65 North American horseshoeing schools in the country. So and that one focuses mostly on the business aspects of hoof care because, they get several weeks of hoof care, and it makes it really difficult to get the business side covered during that time while they're in shoeing school. So,
and that is a big problem when they get out there and trying to make a living at it.
Yeah, I showed you this book. And this is nowhere near the size of the American Farriers Journal, and they're already reading this and trying to absorb this.
Yeah, and that's that sort of stuff is amazing. I know the gentleman who wrote that, and he actually owns a shoeing school out west.
In fact, we had Bob on here.
Yes, Bob's amazing.
Yeah, we had him only a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, Bob's a great guy. And actually, I went to his shoeing school for a week. They sent me out there to get a taste of what it is that farriers do. And, so they got me under a horse, and I forgot to breathe and almost passed out. It was a wonderful experience. But they, like I said, they make it much easier. They make it look much easier than it really is. So having the opportunity to help farriers, young farriers, learn the business end of things, because if they're within the first 3 to 5 years is when most of them wash out, and we need to make sure that we are replenishing the number of farriers coming into the trade, because the average age is early 50s for farriers. So, doesn't take a math whiz, and I'm certainly not one, to figure out that if we don't replenish that, we're gonna be having a shortage of farriers.
And I'll tell you, in this area, there's a good number of farriers that have gotten close to the 50 that have gotten out of it.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a big gap between myself and then the ones that are coming in,
and this is not a densely populated area, so it's not like we've got a town of 30, 50,000 people. Our town here, just locally within this 2-mile square radius, is 2,500 people.
Yeah, the closest couple that are even operating full time at this point beside me are 20 years behind me. And
and as Mike can attest, when you get into your 50s, and you're not a horseshoer, it's sometimes difficult to do some things. But when you've had 25, 35, 40 years underneath the horse, you have much more than just your cranky knees and hips. There are a lot of guys our age who are getting their knees replaced, their hips replaced, things like that, because of the wear and tear that they get jumping crawling on the horses.
20 years into it, I thought I was getting where I knew something. 30 years into it, I was like, and now I know I don't know anything yet, and I'm right about 40 years.
Yeah, absolutely. The learning curve in hoof care is amazing. It's incredibly difficult. When you can always, there's something called the Dunning-Kruger effect, where at the very beginning you learn this information in shoeing school, and you're starting to mentor people, and you think you're so excited about it, and you think you know what it is that you're talking about, and then 8-10 years in, you start to realize the breadth of what you don't know.
Right.
And that's when the real education really begins.
Yeah, and as far as I see, the breadth of what I don't know is just expanded, and there's so much research being done. And then you fight people coming to you, well, I want this done, and that's all you know from years is misconception, but they insist that's how this done, or the trainer said, or all that.
Well, not only that,
so the public needs to actually know, and it would make it better for all of us.
And not only that, Mike, there's always new material coming out. I mean,
Constantly.
we're not just talking about steel shoes anymore. We're talking about everything.
Well, see, that's why you go to the Farriers Journal. They've got it, believe me.
Now, another reason why I would go to the Farriers Journal, the question I have is it publicly funded, or is it a private company? Is it? Yeah, I guess that's where I'm going. You know, do you have like grants or anything from the government because you are? Are you considered furthering education or continuing education, or is this basically like I don't want to say like a People magazine getting caught up on like the celebrities? This is kind of like the celebrity world of farriers and farrier equipment getting caught up on all that.
Yeah, it's education, and we don't do any fashion spreads with their farriers and their aprons. We don't have any beefcake shots with. You know,
Mike would be awesome because he's got a pair of pink chaps that he wears all the time.
Yeah, well, and those benefit breast cancer.
Yes.
Yep, exactly.
Yes, Myron McLean makes those, and there are a few others too.
Yeah, I think when Myron started the pink ones, mine was like one of the first pairs.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's
my mini since then. You know.
Yes. You know, so we are not publicly funded. We're privately owned. Leicester Media owns American Farriers Journal, and our owner grew up on a farm in Michigan. Grew up around draft horses. Always loved horses, and so really wanted to further the education of hoof care. And you know, it's really difficult to make sure that we balance the issue, you know, because there's so much out there. So we have to figure out on a issue by issue basis, you know, what do we want to present to the readers? We have several people who write about hoof care research rather, and we also have farriers writing for us that discuss how they do things. We have case studies in which we follow a horse from beginning to end in one article on a specific issue that they've had. You know, so it's a pretty practical magazine on what farriers can use to implement in their own hoof care practice.
Now, Mike's been working with me for a couple of years now, and a couple people have approached him to write articles. So, is there a space in the Farrier Journal? Not to put you on the spot here, but I mean, is there a place for the Stine report?
But I'm going to have to edit all the spelling and make sure it's incorrect.
Mike, I'm trying to get you a gig here, man. Jeff, is there a spot? And you know, it could be on the back fold. You know, the Stine report, and you know, something like that.
He'd have a much more prominent spot in the magazine. He knows that. We most of our content is farrier generated. You know, so if my name is on it, or my assistant editor's name is on it, it's because we went to an event and we covered it. And then we work hand in hand with the farrier or the equine vet who presented the information. But we have several articles in each issue where a farrier or a vet writes it, and it, you know, they just email it to me. Sometimes it's just out of the blue. Sometimes they email me and say, hey, what about this? Well, go right ahead. We're more than welcome, and we pay. You know, we're not just having them spend their time to do it and relinquish it without compensation.
Go ahead, Mike.
Right. I know that the couple of presentations that I've done for the Hoof Care Summit, there was, I guess it was a freelance writer who had interviewed me for the articles that had gone into the journal.
Yep.
And
Yes.
so that's how that was done.
So is it kind of the same platform as, like, I don't know if many people out there remember, like, the Reader's Digest. You would get it once a month, and you would have people that would write in these stories and submit them to the Reader's Digest. You know, these guys in their 80s and 90s are, I'm writing this about my child, you know, whatever it is. Is it the same format where if a farrier goes, hey, I'd want to write an article, they submit it to you, and you either give them the thumbs up or thumbs down in that sense?
Yes, sir. That's part of it. Yes. You know, there are people who we have regularly write, and then you know, we have others who have a query. We do have an advisory board that's made up of farriers and equine vets, and we'll take most of those articles, and we submit them to the advisory board so that they can look them over and say, you know, there's a little bit of hole here. Let's fill this hole because this gap kind of makes it a little more difficult to understand, because I'm not a farrier, so I don't know exactly some of the things that might cause those gaps.
Well, I know from the process of doing a presentation at the summit, we had several interactions back and forth with the advisory board.
Yep.
Double checking, and all for my whole presentation to make sure it was up to snuff. So you don't just walk in off the street and say, I'm going to do a clinic.
You got to show receipts on that.
Yeah, you got to show receipts, and they're checking you out.
Yeah, the quality control is important. You know, we don't want to just throw something out there that's going to potentially mislead our audience. You know, so the farrier or vet who writes the articles, I'm working with them. Our editors are working with them so that we can make sure that the information is correct.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick little break. One more little segment, and we'll wrap up the show. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Jeff, you doing all right?
The expensive coffee.
Yeah, he's got the expensive coffee.
It's Keurig, man.
Yeah. This is Polk Mountain Country Store.
Oh, right up the road. Mm-hmm. Did you see their breakfast sandwiches that they have there?
I did. They had breakfast sandwiches and breakfast pizza.
Yeah. They got a good little country store right there up the road. My wife gets the breakfast sandwiches if she's too lazy to make eggs in the morning. Mm-hmm. Eggs.
And then you find out the local events huddled around the coffee pot.
Is that where you're talking about? A horse got out, or
the cows got out? Yeah, somebody's cows got out. I found that out when I was getting coffee.
Jesus Christ. I'm from Orlando.
That's not even on the news.
I'm from Orlando, Florida, and so my raising and everything is this big buzzing, and now I'm out here. I'm literally the Green Acres. You know what I mean? I'm the country, the city boy in the country world. Well, God bless my wife.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, you be podcast famous. You can join the podcast. The way you do that is go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says join the podcast. And there's a little green bar. I'm sorry, it's an orange bar. I'm colorblind sometimes. There's an orange bar at the very top of the page that says leave a message for Mike Stine. Your voice can be heard right here during the show, and we'll bring you right here in the studio.
So it's a bar full of oranges?
Yeah, bar full of oranges. And leave your question. You can be anonymous if you want. It'll come right here, and we'll play it on the very next podcast as well. We broadcast every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We broadcast just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, a little town called Marshville. And if you'd like this podcast to perform at your clinic, your location, your bar mitzvah, your garage sale, your wedding party ceremony, something like that, we can do that as well. And the way you do that is same site, equinedynamics.com. And there's a little thing that says clinics. Fill that out, and we'll schedule you, and we can perform this right at your very location. And over to my far right side is Mike Stine. How are you?
How are you, Travis?
I'm
How
good.
are you, Jeff?
Good.
I'll stumble through it.
And joining us this week, we have editor for the American Farriers Journal, Jeff Cota. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Mike, do you sing at those clinics?
So what now?
Do you sing at those clinics?
Oh, yeah. I dance, too.
Yeah.
Just as good as I sing.
When they want to get the party to leave, they bring Mike out.
That's right. Time for everybody to clear out.
He sings Blood on the Saddle, and then that's it.
I'm getting ready to do a Christmas album.
So, Mike, what did we learn today?
What did we learn today?
With editor Jeff Cota, we learned about the importance of continuing the farrier education through the Farrier Journals magazine. So, Jeff, touch a little bit more on that if you could.
Yeah, well, we have a breadth of information, hoof care information on our website, on our Facebook page, YouTube channel. So we really strive to make sure that we help the farriers improve hooves for their horses and their clients.
And also, why horse owners should care about the continuing educations with their farrier and keep that open communication between the two. When horse owners need to look for something, they can translate to the farrier, and then reverse. Farrier can translate information to the horse owner. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, if you got farriers who do not want to communicate, that's a bit of an issue. You got to obtain information from as many places as possible.
Yeah, you need that open education, open communication, because if you don't, then you're just going to repeat the problem and prolong it.
And on your magazine, the American Farriers Journal, Jeff, do you guys have like a mission statement? I mean, what is the main goal? Your mission statement. This is what we believe in, the tried and true. Make sure the magazine doesn't stray from this. Yes, sir. We strive to make sure that we're helping to educate the farrier so that we can benefit the horse. That's the horse is such a majestic animal, and we need to make sure that we do the best we can to make sure that it has a long and healthy life.
They should be retired because of old age, not because of unsoundness.
Right, absolutely.
That's something I always use.
And Jeff, where can our listeners find you, get a hold of you, get a subscription, anything that if they want to be part of the magazine, if they want to send in articles, where can our listeners just get their fingers in you?
Well, you can go to AmericanFarriers.com to view the content. You can also follow us on Facebook, American Farriers Journal. And you can email me with any content that you have at jcota, COTA, at lesspub.com. Less as in less, fewer, not less. pub.com.
And I'll have all this on the YouTube channel as well.
And horse owners can subscribe, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, they can, and we encourage it. It kind of gives you an idea of what farriers have to go through on a daily basis, so that you can better communicate with them.
Yeah, hopefully they'll start to understand it's more than just shoes on feet.
Yes, very much so.
All right, guys. On that note, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for listening to us. On behalf of Mike Stine over there.
Have a good day. Enjoy your ponies. Thank you, Jeff.
And
thank you for having me.
And we'd like to thank Jeff, the editor from the American Farriers Journal, Jeff Cota, for joining us as well.
Thank you very much.
My name is Travis, saying see you next week. The audio portion, or the main portion stuff. Good job, Jeff.
Thank you.
Did you have a good time?
Yes.
Lucky. Good night now. Hey, Dusty. Good night now.